again, good Wednesday morning and welcome to GBN Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host, and today we have with us Christa Votaw, who is with our West Ashley chapter down in the Charleston market, and she is with Clear Mortgage. We're going to have her on here in just a moment. I first want to thank our sponsor, Grand Strand Law Group. They have offices in North Myrtle Beach and Myrtle Beach. You can reach them at 843-492-5422. I also want to remind everyone that if you have any comments for today's guest, please put them in your social media, whatever channel you're working on, and we'll try to get those on air as well. And you can also call in by calling 843-602-9880, and we'll get you on air there as well. And don't forget to stick around to the end of the show, because at the end of the show, we have a giveaway that we do each week, and we would like for you guys to enter into that. So stick around. GBN is next. All right, guys, welcome back to GBN Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host, and today we have with us Christa Votaw with Clear Mortgage. She's down in our West Ashley chapter down in the Charleston market, and I love your background there. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is actually, believe it or not, where we go for GBN at Frothy Beard. So I'm giving a shout out to them. They are such a great location and spot to come and enjoy some food, and they have awesome beers that they make here. And they give us this awesome facility. So I definitely want to give a shout out to them and just say thank you for all that they're doing for us in the group and the growth that we have.
Yeah, they're awesome. As a matter of fact, on our leadership meeting last week, they decided to start having our after hours there. So that's going to be pretty
awesome.
Cool coming up the second Wednesday at 5:30. So Christa, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're originally from, your family, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, but I am originally born in Texas. So I can technically say that I was in Texas for a year of my life, but only 3 months of that was outside of my mom's belly. So I wouldn't say that I really remember anything, but then I moved to New Jersey. I went to school in Pennsylvania and then out to New York City for a couple of years. And then I got smart, realized it's cold and don't want to be up there. So then I moved on down south.
Yeah, I lived in Indianapolis for about 9 months, and I was so ready to get back to the south. It's too cold in that area for me. You're with Clear Mortgage, and they've been around for a minute. But tell us a little bit about Clear Mortgage and just a little bit about the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are Clear Mortgage, powered by City First Mortgage Services. And our company itself, for Clear, has been around for a little bit over 2 years, but we're partnered with City First, who's been around for over 30. So it's great to have such an amazing, strong backing and with that company. And it's a true partnership that we have. And I absolutely love where I'm at because we have a very different model for what a loan officer is able to do. We actually have true transparency into the secondary market to see what things are priced at and what's going on. I know exactly what my business is worth, which is a unique thing. If you ask a loan officer, how much did that loan make the company? Majority of the time, the loan officer is going to go,
crickets.
I don't know. Crickets. Right. So because of that, we have this clear, transparent model for you to actually know exactly what that true cost is. And it gives you the power to really run your business very strong. And we have such a great support. So I've never been more supported at a company than at Clear. It's amazing.
That's awesome. And Christa, I apologize. And I hope I didn't cut you off, but going back to your family and all that kind of stuff, you have a child now that is 8 months old?
9 months. Yeah, 9 months old.
I was close.
So we do. I actually am a mother of 3. So I have my husband. He does contracting, remodeling, and kind of those services. And then I have we're doing some Airbnb things as well that we're getting started, and he's running.
Oh, cool.
And then I have a daughter who's almost 7, a younger daughter who's almost 4, and then Colton is the youngest. He's 9 months. So. Yeah. We're
congratulations. You were part of GBN when Colton came along, so we're very excited about that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about credit scores for a moment. I always try to talk to lenders about how credit scores are affected and how they change, but Now that things are getting a little bit more back to normal from the COVID pandemic, are you seeing any government loans or anything that's being a little bit more lenient or even more strict? Of course, now the housing market's insane to begin with, but let's
Yeah.
just talk specifically about the
So
credit scores
specifically credit.
and what's going on with those.
Yeah, specifically credit-wise, it definitely has seen a lot of loosening. And in those facts, being first-time home buyers, typically when you're looking at loans for a USDA loan, which is a government loan, you really want your credit to be above a 640 as a minimum. For conventional, you really want to be above like a 680 at least, even 700. But technically, if you do conventional, you can go down to a 620. And then FHA, it can go 580, 600 still, and same thing with VA. One of the things that is opening up just recently is that there's actually non-QM loans, which is non-qualified mortgage loans, to where you can actually have a below a 580, so 500 score, and still get a loan. So there's always cost associated with different loan programs. There's always a little bit of a give and take, right? So if they're going to say, oh, well, your credit's not where it needs to be, but you still need a loan, well, you might have to pay a little bit more for that loan, and that different cost, because it's all about a risk analysis. So, sure. But it's definitely loosened a little bit from where it was just with COVID about a year ago, because before you weren't seeing any of those lower credit score numbers.
Yeah. Deb's joining us here, and I also see a few other people that are joining us. Deb's here in our Myrtle Beach market. She says, hi, good morning, Christa. And we also have
Hello.
Julie on here. Lori's on here. Julie's over in our Somerville chapter, so she's joining us as well. So, guys, if you have any questions for Christa or myself, please type those in your comments, and we'll try to get those on air as well. With those credit scores loosening up a little bit, that's actually a good thing. But let's talk about the current market. I know how it is very well in Myrtle Beach, being I'm a realtor, but I'm not 100%. I know several realtors down in the Charleston market, but and it's kind of the same. But we're finding that people that are either young couples or young couples with one child or whatever, those first-time home buyers, it is harder and harder for them to get into a home because the prices are just outrageous. So I'm happy to hear some of those restrictions are loosening up a little bit. Hopefully that'll help them out with the pricing. But are you seeing the same thing in the Charleston market?
Absolutely. So we are seeing that. And so a unique kind of fact is that it just is a general statement, but the markets in most areas are moving so fast that the homes in a 20-day span, 25-day span, are 100% different than what was currently on the market about 20 days ago. So what's happening is that these houses that are coming up that are in that affordable range, they come up, but they only last a day. So you really have to watch it every single day. So there are still homes for the 175, 200, 225. You just have to be on it. You have to be already pre-qualified, ready to go, ready to make an offer. And then you have to have an experienced agent, kind of like you, that can explain, well, the house is here. If you're pre-qualified for, 200, you might need to look at homes in the 175 range so that you can ask above the price of the house to get to your 200 amount so that you can win that property. And that's unfortunately what's kind of been going on in the market right now, is that there are some overbiddings that are happening. But the thing that people don't realize, you might say, oh, well, I'm overbidding over an appraisal value, but what's your house worth once it closes? Your house is worth what it closed for, right? That's what's going in and being recorded, not what the appraised value was. Sure. So people have a misconception about, oh, my house is only worth this. I'm like, well, no, actually, it's what it's worth. You bought it for. That's what it's worth is. Yeah. So you just made a good comp for yourself in a year. Like you're the comp. You're a comparison. I talk comp, but that's,
and you're absolutely right, because I'm recommending people to be prepared to put extra cash down if they need to as well. But I also always warn people not to grossly overprice for your home, because then, like you said, it's worth what it is when it closes. So if something were to happen and you had to sell it and you go 50, 60,000 over the asking price, then
Yep.
then you're left holding the ball.
So one of the things that I'm doing right now that's really helping out clients and borrowers that I'm working with, there is a program, a second mortgage that we're actually able to pair with the loan on the secondary same day closing, and it actually, you can get anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, and it's just only in South Carolina, and that loan can help cover all of their closing costs. So when you do have that first time home buyer, a couple of years ago, all they needed to do was just save the down payment because the seller was going to be covering closing costs. Market has flipped. Now sellers are not covering closing costs. So now those same home buyers that were competitive and need that little bit of extra savings, they don't have it because it's harder to save. But with this program, they're actually able to get the funds to help cover. So it's kind of like you're back at the same playing field of all those other people that don't have to ask for closing cost assistance.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because in a seller's market, that's the one thing they're not going to do is help you with closing costs for the most part.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about the pre-approval and the pre-qualification and the difference, because that's important for somebody to know, because you need to speak to a lender before you go and purchase a house and be ready to make that offer. So talk a little bit about the differences of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's definitely a big difference between just a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. Pre-qualification, it isn't worth the paper that it's written on. Like literally, it's really not, because you don't, if you haven't had a lender that's actually looked at your income, verified it, talked to your employer, pulled a written verification of employment if needed, taken a look at their assets to make sure that there's enough funds there to close within the time frame that's needed. Now remember, those houses, they're flying off the shelf. I mean, they're gone in 20 days. They're gone. So you have to be at that point on the precipice that you're ready to just go and I can close in 30 days. You might be waiting on title and appraisal depending on how busy they are, but you need to be ready as the borrower. And so if you get through and go all the way through the approval process, that's exactly what you're doing. If you just talk to somebody and get pre-qualification, that means that you haven't verified your income, you haven't verified assets, there's not a guarantee. And in this market, if you have a pre-qualification and not an approval, you're not going to get a house.
Yeah. We do have a question here from Julie. Whoops. It went away. Julie says, Christa, what's the name of the program you spoke of?
Oh, yeah. So it's actually called Origin, and it's kind of we piggyback it together with the first and second. So we would do the first, and then we work with Origin. They have to actually go through a home buyer's course. They do need a home warranty with it. They actually do want to see the inspection report. So there's different parameters that you need with it in order to qualify for that program. But it's really good for home buyers, if they're willing to make these extra, take these extra steps. And there is an income limit too, but it is 120% of the AMI, area median income. So it's a really solid program to be able to use. So that's a lot of people can qualify.
And is that available for a USDA and an FHA?
Correct.
It is. Okay, good. That's awesome.
And conventional. Yeah.
Oh, and conventional as well.
It's just everything. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so the
great.
cost, and it's all of South Carolina. So it's, and we were approved with them to lend with it. So like I had to go through all this stuff in order to do it, but I got it. I was like, we
always
need
education,
this for people.
right?
Yeah. And so I see what's the rate or cost. So one of the unique things about it is that the rate is only 1% higher than what their current rate is, and it's on a 20-year note. So if your closing costs in mind, say $6,000 or so, say maybe $7,000, depending on area, you can actually use that extra $4,000 or $3,000 to buy down the rate if you want to, right? So if your first rate is at a 4.25, then the second would be at a 5.25.
Gotcha.
And it's on that 20-year.
Well, that's cool. Guys, it's time for a quick break. So keep those questions coming. After the break, we're going to discuss some things about the market and what you need to do to get pre-approved. So stick with us. GBN Live. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jess the Sand. I've been a canine liaison at Grand Strand Law Group for, 30 years? What's that? You don't believe me? I meant 30 dog years, of course. First rule of lawyering, read the fine print. Anywho, my humans at Grand Strand Law Group have a combined 20 years experience. I know, not as much as me, but that's in people years. So yeah, still pretty impressive. Real estate, estate planning, or probate, you need GSLG.
Grand Strand Law Group. Trust us, we have a dog.
Great business networking grew out of the idea that by creating lasting friendships within the community, we can make the community even better.
I was looking to network with professionals and to be able to refer my clients to somebody that I trust.
Well, it's really important to trust the members of the group because we really generate quality referrals, and to know somebody, be friends with them, and get that qualified referral is the key to success.
It is networking, but it doesn't feel like networking, and that is important to me. I come to the meetings, I have fun, I make great connections, and I help grow my business.
GBN, these are some of the best professionals in the market, and having that resource available to me, that's priceless.
Well, GBN is a network of business professionals that build long-lasting friendships that will not only grow my business, will grow yours as well. That's what referral marketing is all about.
GBN really is the most important marketing for your business. Check us out today. Welcome back to GBN Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host, and today we have
Hold
with
on,
us
I gotta
Christa
log in and
Votaw.
out. I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? I'm sorry. Whoops. I lost her. Hopefully we'll get her back here in just a moment. Well, I'll tell you what. Don't forget to go ahead and put in I think she's coming back. Give us just a second here. Gotta love technology and live stuff. There we go. Can you hear me now?
I hear.
Can you hear me now? Barely. Mic check 1 2 2 2.
Okay. I'm trying again. One more time.
Okay. Still nothing?
This is what happens sometimes. People.
Yep. Live TV. Let's see. Where is it here? Yep. GBN Live. So.
This is definitely live. I don't know if you can hear me at all.
Well, hopefully we'll get her back here in just a moment. I tell you what, while we're waiting, go ahead and type in the comments, hashtag GBN Rocks, and see if we can't get you in there. There's Dancing Debbie. So as long as she is up, we will be collecting those comments. And we want to again thank our sponsor, Grand Strand Law Group, with offices in North Myrtle Beach and Myrtle Beach, 843-492-5422. Grand Strand Law Group, your trusted choice. So still can't hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I see your words coming out of your mouth that you say, can I hear you? Can you hear me?
Oh, wow.
I'm a very good lip reader.
Well, I tell you what, guys, there's no way that we're going to be able to get her back on.
I'm actually going to log in on my computer. I apologize.
Maybe she can log in on her computer. We'll keep going that. While you're waiting, guys, I just want to remind everyone that that GBN is across the Grand Strand and the Charleston market. We have 15 chapters in the Myrtle Beach market and 4 chapters down in the Charleston market. And we're looking to grow all the way up into Charlotte, Greenville, Wilmington, Columbia, Florence, and maybe even Calabash here shortly. So if you guys are interested or know anybody that's interested in joining any of those chapters, please have them to reach out to us. You can reach us at GBN Live, gbnonline.com. Oh, she's switching over here, I believe. She's multi-cameraing.
This is when we make jokes.
Can you hear us?
If you type in questions, I can read it.
You can read our comments. We can get Ashley to type those in for us right quick if you can, Ashley. Question number 6, please. Hi, Deb.
I'm going to try to come in here.
And try to come in on her computer instead of her cell phone, I believe.
All right. Can you hear me?
There. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Well,
there you go.
Sorry.
Gotta love technology. That's right. So that's why it's live, right? So
it is. It can't be more live.
All right. According to the Association of Realtors, Christa, we are seeing about the same numbers as what we were selling last year, but they're obviously not staying on the market, but sometimes even a matter of hours. I actually had one a couple of months ago that a guy came by and he saw me putting the sign in the yard and he said, I want that house. And we went under contract the same night. So it's absolutely crazy. But I know that they're seeing the same type of market down in the Charleston area. But is that affecting the mortgage lending business at all?
So one of the really unique things about that is that this is going to probably be the third largest year projection for closings on loans. Yes. And that's no small feat. I mean, it's still in the trillions. It still is happening. And I think that the difference now is that they were actually saying that you're going to see a shift in business from that refinance to purchase, right? So last year, a lot of the reason why there was such great success was because of the refinances and where rates were and what was happening. And now, since rates are starting to rise, you have that shift of now purchases are going to be taking off and going. And because the market is still so strong, it goes back to Henry Ford, I believe, is the one that actually came up with this method when it talks about the births. If you actually look at the birth rate for people 33 years old, that's a typical age of a homeowner, the birth rate is still really high in comparison to where it is. So those are the people that are looking for homes. There's a shortage of homes right now, so also on top of it. So the purchase business is just really where it's at, is really strong with what's going to happen and what's going to take off. And as we continue to see these houses, the rates, I think the market's going to stay high and still stay where it is. But I think that they have to curb the rate in order to make it affordable, because the housing market needs to stay strong for the economy. So it kind of goes around in that little bit of a circle. And the thing about high rates, when you're talking about economy and moving forward, is that high rates mean that in this next 2 years, maybe they are going to hover in this range, but guess what? They're probably going to dip down again to keep the market strong. So it's just ebbs and flows, and that's what happens in the market and in the economy and how it kind of projects.
I get people all the time that are asking me, do I think that the housing pricing is going to come down? And I don't know that it will. New build or resales are always based on new builds and pricing. And new builds are still dealing with supply issues. And they're still paying high prices for some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And how does a builder sell something in phase 2 cheaper than they did in phase 1? It doesn't make sense from their perspective. So right. I don't see them coming down. I see them maybe flattening out, but
plateau.
It'll
plateau. It'll definitely plateau.
Yeah. So one of the things that I want to talk about is I saw during the real bad parts of COVID that the government was saying tenants didn't have to necessarily pay their rent, and they forgave them. Well, the one thing they didn't think about is the owners of the property that had to pay their mortgage still, because they didn't really put them on hold that much. Are you seeing any really big effects of that from people that had financed and are we going to see foreclosures on it because of those type of
No,
programs that the tenants
that's
didn't
a
have
great
to pay.
question. My intake on that is honestly, so they had those for the home people that were renting that didn't have to, but they also, you have to remember, had the forbearance, for homeowners as well. So
Right.
if you were owned a property and you did decide that forbearance is the route that you needed to go in order to make those ends meet, you stayed into that forbearance period as long as you needed to. And then once you came out of it, there were multiple ways for people to be able to take care of the loan, right? There was loan modifications. There was, seconds going on the back of it for a lien to stay on the property so that if it does sell, that's when they recoup the money. So they don't have to pay any of the monies up front, or they lengthened the loan. I mean, there were so many different options for people to really utilize as somebody that owned property. So I'm hoping that because of that there's not going to be a bunch of foreclosures due to that fact that renters didn't have to pay.
And I hope so.
If you didn't take advantage of that, and then you got into the hole, you just have to kind of, there's always going to be a small percentage of.
Right. The one misconception that a lot of people had on that forbearance is they thought they didn't have to pay it back. And a lot of times that just moved it to whenever that forbearance period was over. So I know a lot of people had some issues with that, but
and it prevented them from doing something from a mortgage standpoint as well. Because if it wasn't treated properly as they came out, they were then kind of stuck, and they were like, well, you can't even do anything until you do this. So it was the government's way of trying to make a solution for a hard situation. They tried their best.
Yeah. We touched on this just a little bit, Christa, but I know with the COVID times that closings were being pushed back to about 45, sometimes even 60 days. And sometimes that was title work, or it was appraisal, or it was just mortgage companies getting called up. There were a lot of factors that went into it. Are you seeing that still, or in this market, we're really seeing that we're back to the 30-day time period for the majority of
you can absolutely do a 30-day closing. There are sometimes extraneous circumstances, but contracts are definitely back to that 30, unless something happens. But the biggest thing about people forget about this is you enter into that contract. It is a contract for 30 days. But if you're working with a lender, hopefully with me, if you're working with a lender that is open and communicative throughout it, if there are issues, say their appraisal comes in low or something happens, as long as you're communicating that with the agents, that person that's selling the house wants to sell the house. So it's being able to communicate that through the process so that nobody feels blindsided. Because at the end of the day, everybody's working towards the same goal. So if you do need a day or two because this or that, that's fine. And probably people are going to be able to work with that, but you have to make sure that you're working with a lender that's going to be communicative from the beginning to make sure that they understand why and what's going on. If you don't have somebody that can explain the why good, then you got to find somebody else, because they should be able to be there.
Yeah, that's something I tell my clients all the time, is that everybody is in the process, regardless of what, even if they're the seller and you're the buyer, regardless of what area you're in, everybody's goal is the same. So everybody has to do what they need to do to make it happen. So as a client, you need to be able to give that information, whether it's a lender, whether it's somebody that's doing a home inspection or whatever. Time is really important, and you got to stay on that timeline. So, but everybody's end goal is the same. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and give away our prize for today. We've got the hashtag GBN Rocks in the comments. So let's pull that up and go ahead and give away a $25 gift card to, we only had 2 entries today, so that should be pretty simple. And that is Lori. Lori, that's you again. You're going to have some free dinner there at Walk-Ons, thanks to them. So I appreciate you tuning in today as well. I also see we have some other people in here. Jason Perry's in. I see Jason. He says howdy and good morning. And some other people is in there as well. So that is awesome. We appreciate you joining us. So before we go, Christa, let's talk about being a member of GBN and just networking in general. Why do you feel that that's so important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So networking is so huge in any facet of your life. I mean, you need it. You need a network of family, right? And you have your core family that you have, whether that be your actual family members or your friends. You need a huge network of friends as well in order to support you through things that you're doing in life. You have a network of maybe church community or different things that you're doing. So why, if you have all these other networks and you're into, have the relationships and you're interpersonal and you're talking with them and you're have that support, why would you deny that for your business, right? If your business needs a network, that's what this is. You have to be able to get out there and have that support in your network. It just makes sense. And this is such a good place to be able to do it because of the culture and because of the actual referrals given, and the people are very professional, and that's what we're all here for, is to help support and grow each other's business, inside and out. And we can all learn from each other as well at the same time.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, guys, if you're looking to get a mortgage and get something financed, give Christa a call. You can reach her at 843-647-9686, or you can reach her at clearmortgage.com/Christa-Votaw. And Christa, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And next week we have up the one and only Autumn Duncan, and she's also a mortgage lender, but she's in the Myrtle Beach market, so we're going to chat with her as well.
Yeah.
She is with Tidewater Mortgage, and she will be on next Wednesday. So we look forward to that. And guys, Christa, I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much. And
you're welcome. I'm glad that I had a backup.
Yeah, tell everybody over there in the West Ashley chapter we said hello, because you guys meet here in about 15 minutes. So So you actually you have a commercial lender or a commercial real estate agent should be joining you today.
Excellent. Yes.
And her name's Christy, so that's good. So she should be.
Yeah, we have a commercial department as well. So
yeah, that's right. So all right, well, guys, just remember, if it's Wednesday, it's GBN Live. We'll see you next week. Take care.